Hello, so my name is Ella Beck, and this is my Management 300 Assignment 2 slideshow presentation. So, the use of data analytics to inform decision making. One way that data analytics can be used to inform decision making is the use of market analysis. So, this can look at market trends, customer preferences, and buying patterns. By analyzing data on customer demographics like this, purchase history, and geographic location, I can identify potential areas for store expansion and understand customer demands in those locations. So that's pretty important. Predictive analysis kind of goes along with this. It's the use of historical data to predict future market trends. So by using historical data and predictive analysis like this, I can forecast things like customer demand, sales projections, and profitability for like potential store locations that I'm looking at. This can help me to evaluate the financial feasibility of expansion plans and making informed decisions. Um, and the last thing I have, just kind of relating to this data analytics, is customer personalization. So this can allow for a more personalized experience for each customer. I can gain insight into individual customer preferences and behaviors. This can allow me to give them more personalized marketing campaigns and recommendations, which will help with overall sales and things like that. Next, I have some ethical concerns when collecting customer data. So, the first is, of course, privacy. Customers don't want their information shared or sold. So, this is a big ethical responsibility that comes with handling data, and you need to ensure users' privacy. Even if a customer gives your company consent to collect, store, and analyze their personally identifiable information, that doesn't mean they want it publicly available to everybody. It's just for the use of that company. That's all they gave permission for. The next ethical issue we have is security. There has been like historically some big like hacks per se, where hackers will gain access to customer information that should be private. So to protect individuals' privacy, you need to ensure you're storing data in a secure database, so it doesn't end up in the wrong hands like those hackers. Data security protocols should be used to ensure information is always protected. Um, of course, getting that data, like your consumers' personal data, into the wrong hands opens up for like blackmail and a bunch of things that are not great for business. The next ethical concern is discrimination. So groups that may be targeted or excluded based on their information. Data should only be used in a positive way to help improve consumer experience. It should not be used to discriminate against groups of people in any way. That's always, you don't want to just exclude a group of people just because they have this certain data attribute or whatnot. Another thing is transparency. How we collect, store, and analyze user data. That should be available, and consumers can decide based on that if they want to share that information or not. They have it right. Our users, have the right to know how we plan to collect, store, and use their data. Withholding or lying about your company's methods or intentions is not good. It's both unlawful and unfair to your consumers, and in the long run, it will not help you at all. So, anecdotal evidence in decision making. This can be used sometimes. It can be useful, but it should be used with other kinds of data as well. It can provide personal insights into the mind of a customer, and it may not be representative of the broad range of customers, though. It may not be indicative of people living in other states as you or with different experiences than you have. It can definitely be useful in decision making, but it should be considered with empirical data or statistical analysis. Anecdotal evidence, it may provide insights into specific customer experiences. That's kind of where the second point comes in. Like, you may know what they're going through because you've gone through the same thing, which can help you definitely make decisions. It can also help you look at their preferences and concerns. But again, it might not be representative of the broad range of customers that you can have. So companies also have a legal duty to protect customer data. There's many regulations that go with this, like data protection and privacy laws. So there's things like the General Data Protection Regulation, the Privacy Act of 1974, the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, which is known as HIPAA, or the California Consumer Privacy Act, just something we have here in California. These all just ensure that consumer data is collected, stored, and processed in accordance with these laws. and that helps to keep the data safe and away from people who don't need to have access to that. The next thing we have, that's the duty of the company, is access and control. So consumers should have access to their data, be able to see it, and then be able to control it if there's any issues with the data or if it's not right. So they need to have access to their own data, not other people's. It allows them to correct any inaccuracies that I was talking about, and also give them control over how the data is used and shared. So you should have the option to hide some data if they don't want it public or available to the company. This also comes with only collecting the necessary data for business purposes and ensuring that the data is not kept for longer than it needs to be kept. So once a customer decides they don't want us to keep their information anymore, we need to actually delete it. The next duty that a company has is to have a good breach response in place. So that's having an effective plan in place for the event of a data breach or a hack. It needs to be prompt and effective, and this also needs to include notifying customers and taking appropriate measures to kind of mitigate any harm that came with this. Overall, companies should prioritize data protection, privacy, transparency, and accountability to maintain the trust of their customers and comply with legal and ethical obligations. And these are some of the references I used. And that is it. Thank you.